The question is, where's Louis again today? Tut, 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 tut. He's ill in inverted commas. If you're listening, I'm doing that thing with my fingers. So he told me last night, yep, that's it, less than 24 hours before the filming of the podcast episode. Thanks, Louis. And so I'm doing a solo episode today, which I'm actually really excited about. And I had to write it last night in bed. Because you know me, I can't just wing it. I've got to plan it. I've got to over plan. I've got to be a perfectionist. And so I have decided, because today, the day that I'm filming this podcast, it is the GAYNS first birthday. GAYNS turns 24th of February, 2024. That was the first ever GAYNS run. And so I thought, why not do a little reflective look back on the last year, ways in which I personally feel like I won, I lost, losses and gains, you know what I mean? What were the losses? What were the gains? Strengths, weaknesses, reality checks, the challenges, what I've learned from them. And hopefully, you listening will get some kind of value from that, whether that is you are starting your own thing, you want to start your own thing, maybe you're just somebody who is a hustler when it comes to your work, even if you work for somebody else and you're not planning your own thing. Hopefully what I have sort of learned in the last year, and as I translate it to you, will give you maybe a little bit of inspiration. Maybe we'll learn something, and maybe it will just be a story, and you just kind of go, that was mildly interesting. So I basically structured the episode. So there's like different sort of categories because, I couldn't just ramble for 45 minutes. I had to give you structure. I had to give myself structure. So it goes, the strengths that made GAYNS work, the weaknesses that nearly got in the way, the biggest reality checks, how GAYNS exposed me for better and for worse, my self-review as a founder, the hardest moment of the year, the most unexpected win, and then what's next, and what I tell myself a year ago. So you've kind of broken it down, and I'll just spend like a few minutes on each section, just so that I can give you a little peek into my brain and into the last year, because it's very easy on social media to go, oh, look at this person and all that they're doing. And I know I'm guilty of it as well. Instagram is the highlights, and you know me, I love to let you into my brain a little bit more to show the more vulnerable side, and just keep things real. Okay, timer's on. So the strengths that made GAYNS work. I want to start with the positives because I rarely give myself credit, and I'm also very hard on myself. And so I really had to think, like, what were the things that made GAYNS work? Like, was it my qualities? Was it just a moment in time that I just sort of, it was luck, So I had a little think, and I think the things that I sort of most attribute towards GAYNS being a success was I think it was my consistency, but that consistency came from this resilience and determination coming off the back of, the failed business before it, looking at the next 10 years of my life, early 30s, going, what the fuck now? And just feeling this sense of loneliness from feeling a bit isolated from sort of the gay community, losing friends, and just not feeling like I was going to be doing that year what I felt like I should be doing. I was just doing my online coaching, my one-to-one, and that for me is rewarding to a degree, but it's not creative. And it just felt like I just felt very lost. And so that resilience and that determination is what made me go. And I remember saying, I'm going to start this run club, and I'm just going to fucking commit. I'm just going to go there every single week, and I'm sure over time it will build. Now, obviously it built way quicker than I ever thought, but from the years of me teaching in fitness classes in London, I know you've got to show up to those classes, because if people are coming to your class, it's to see you. And I'm not saying that people come to the Run Club to see me, but, you kind of like dropping in a cover instructor every single week, or you going on holiday all the time, or calling in sick. Like, you just can't build your classes. So I knew I was going to rock up every single week. I was going to sacrifice my holidays. I was going to sacrifice any social plans just so that I could do this run club every single week and build it. And it worked. So I'm really happy about that. And then also something else I picked up from the many years that I've been teaching classes is like how to create that welcoming environment. Now, I always learn people's names because a name to somebody is the most important word in the world to that person, right? So if somebody comes to an environment where they are not feeling, well, if they're feeling intimidated, they're a bit shy, they're a bit scared or whatnot, you going up to that person and asking what their name is, and then the next week when they come back, like saying, "Hey, Matt, how are you?" That means so much to them that you remembered their name. And so that's something that I always endeavored to do when I was in my years of sort of teaching classes, like remembering the names of the people that I was grateful to for coming to my class. And those people kept coming back. And so I always made sure in the early days of GAYNS to go up to every single person that I hadn't seen before and ask them their name and had a little conversation with them. And I think that what that did is it sort of translated amongst the rest of the gaggle, and they started sort of doing the same thing, and it created this very like welcoming environment where everybody that came for the first time was greeted by somebody and had a conversation. So nobody turned up and didn't speak to a single person their entire run. So anyway, that name learning and creating that environment is another reason why I feel like GAYNS did so well and people kept coming back. And then finally, the sort of the cultural observance, I call it. I listen to everything that people say, even if it's a comment on one of my videos, comments on other people's videos, whether that be negative or positive, things people have said to me in person. I remember once somebody said to me, run clubs were so cool that soon they're going to be uncool. And I was like, that's really interesting because, yeah, trends do come and go. And like last year was like the summer of run clubs. Like everybody was starting a run club and brands wanted to, start run clubs that, were shit at building community. And then they realized they couldn't. And so they jumped on other people's run clubs. And, it was the summer of run clubs last year. And I just thought, oh God, yeah, like, what if this is just a trend and then it comes to next year and like it's really thin on the ground? And so that's why I sort of started to explore other ways in which I could sort of like grow the brand universe in terms of concepts or touch points to the brand, so that it felt like more than just a run club, especially for those that don't even, like running or can't run. But that's sort of like keeping my finger on the pulse of like what is wanted, what is needed, I think has then helped me to move at quite a fast pace. Maybe sometimes a bit too fast, but we'll get onto that later. So they're the kind of strength that I feel like sort of really carried GAYNS through this year, that sort of like vision, like that cultural observance, that resilience and that determination that I was going to make this a thing and that I was not going to stop even if it wasn't a thing. So luckily it was. And so now let's talk about the weaknesses that nearly got in the way. Okay, what personal traits made things harder than they needed to be for me? So, talking about that sort of that cultural observance and that sort of like want to always make sure that GAYNS stayed relevant and didn't sort of just become very boring very quickly. It caused me to do a lot all at once and all on my own. Like even this podcast, running the YouTube, the TikTok, my Instagram, the YouTube, the podcast's Instagram, the GAYNS Instagram, like so many social channels that I was sort of all running at the same time, as well as like multiple different events, just deciding, I feel like we've done 4 run clubs in a row. I feel like next month we need to do something a bit different. And so just like really pulling, events out of my arse just to make it look like I wasn't letting the grass grow under my feet. And it wasn't just to make it look like I wasn't letting the grass grow under my feet. I think it was also, I wanted the brand to feel exciting. I didn't want it to become boring. I wanted there always to be something for people to look forward to. Um, and so with that came a lot of work on my plate with no money to pay other people to help me. And also, like, I have control issues. So me not wanting to delegate any work to anybody else because I thought that I could do it better. And so that really caused a lot of stress. And that is still there. It's still just me. I have one social media guy who's doing like 1 day a week. That is it. So I would say that that is still a weakness of mine, but also a warranted weakness in the sense that I need to get gains financially stable first before I can then start going, right, let's spend this much money on you per month. Um, so, if you are somebody that likes to control, doesn't like to delegate, you're causing yourself so much stress. I wish if you were in a position where you can delegate, honey. I know a lawyer who is my mentor, and he told me that every day he wakes up and he has about 250 emails in his work email inbox. And I was like, that makes me feel sick. And he was like, do, delete, delegate. So he either does the emails, he deletes the emails, or he delegates it to somebody else. And so I'm not in a position yet where I can, delegate. But thinking moving forwards about like who can I delegate, what do I need to sort of delegate, what can I afford to delegate, what do I need to do personally and I do need control over, and what like role can I completely give away to somebody else and sort of delete that role out of my sort of weekly calendar. So that is something I'm definitely working on. Scared to ask people for money. Guys, I lost thousands on the GAYNS events last year because I was new to events, so I can give myself a break. We got to learn these lessons. But filth, for example. I ended up having to buy all of those dumbbells. Now, I still got them half price, but I had to buy all of those dumbbells because I tried to organize the event too quickly. Couldn't get hold of the exact amount of dumbbells that I needed. I'd already sold the tickets, so I had to put the event on. I way undersold the tickets. The tickets cost the same price as what it costs to do a Barry's class, even though it was like, a whole show and performance and costs a lot more to put on than a Barry's class. So I ended up losing thousands on that event, and it was a great brand event. It looked good, and people liked it, and we'll definitely do another one again. But I created a price point for the class to avoid people thinking that I was greedy, because I didn't want people to think ill of me, and in that process, then end up shot myself in the foot because I then lost thousands of pounds. And so something I need to get better at is like, if something is worth this much, that is how much I need to charge for it. And, that's okay. If somebody doesn't want to pay that, that's fine. Somebody will. But like, I'm never going to have a financially stable business for GAYNS if I don't sort of get comfortable with saying, actually, this is how much this event costs to put on, and this is how much I need to charge for tickets. So that was definitely a weakness of mine. And that comes from a fear of not being liked, on a deep level. That is this fear of people going, Connor is a greedy cunt, I'm not giving him my money. And, it's so weird but like, honestly, I need to get over my fear of not being liked. It is wild because it will harm the business in the future if I don't sort of get comfortable with making the decisions that need to be made, not making the decisions that I think I should make because it will make people like me more. Do you know what I mean? So that is something that I need to work on in this second year because we lost a lot of money, and focus on procrastination. Big weakness of mine. Like, I will shame myself into doing too much work, and then I won't have enough time to do it, and then I will reach burnout, and then I won't do anything for like 2 days, and then I feel guilty, and then I'll feel motivated again, and then I just go around in a circle. Girl, somebody said, Connor, you should probably get tested for ADHD and get medication. I think it will help you. It helped me. And I was like, well, I've always thought I had it, but maybe I should, because this focus on procrastination thing, when you've got so much to do, like it is a killer. I just want to be able to just focus and smash through my work. Or is that like totally, am I just wanting way too much of myself and that's not realistic? That's what I sort of don't know. Am I operating at a level that is sort of that's high? Or am I being mediocre and thinking I should be high? Because right now I think I'm being mediocre and I should be high, but actually maybe I'm high and I'm being really unrealistic about what I can expect from myself. Watch this space. Okay. So the biggest reality checks for me, you know, GAYNS didn't make a penny from February until October. And so I basically financially supported GAYNS that whole time, whilst also having to pay off debt from my previous business, whilst still doing my side hustle coaching to make sure that I had an income. And so I just felt like I was making money and it was just sort of going out every month. And there was so much stuff that I wanted to do for GAYNS, even like merchandise, for example. Like how people were asking for t-shirts, and I was like, well, you have to pay up front for that shit, because I'm not going to put out crap. Like I'm going to have it my cut, my style, designed by a designer. Like, I'm not going to put out a piece of shit on my brand. So I was borrowing money. I borrowed money twice from my mum to financially keep GAYNS going when I didn't have enough to support GAYNS and myself. And coaching for me is rewarding, as I said, but it's not a lifelong thing that I'm going to do. And it's been very hard to manage those two businesses alongside each other this year, because they're basically two completely separate businesses that both need full-time work. And so, the biggest realization for me was like, hang on a second. If this is how much I'm making from coaching, it is going to be a long time until I can pay myself out of GAYNS what I make on coaching. And even if I could, I'm not sure I'd want to, because every penny that GAYNS makes goes back into GAYNS. I've never taken a penny from the GAYNS bank account, and so do I really want to, pay myself a wage from from GAYNS? Oh my God, Grindhouse, how embarrassing. Do I want to pay myself a wage from GAYNS? And if I do want to pay myself a wage from GAYNS, it's not going to be enough to pay my rent, pay my bills, go on holiday, go out for dinners all the time, like how much it costs to just live a decent life in London. I'm not going to be able to pay myself that much from GAYNS, because I would rather pay that money to somebody who's going to be able to do something for GAYNS that I can't do myself. And so this biggest reality check was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to run both businesses side by side for a long time. And so that's when I kind of realized it's always going to be this much work. It's always going to be relentless. And that was this kind of like, well, if you want it, you've got to do it. And I just had to suck that up and go, right, how can I make myself more time efficient? How can I be more productive? How can I get both things done and not lose the quality on either things? And it was just this reality check of, fuck, running a business is hard. Doing it on your own is hard. And, if you do want to start a business, anybody that's listening, you need to understand you ain't paying yourself a good wage from that business for a long time. So you've either got to have a side hustle, which you're going to have to do alongside running that business, or you're going to have enough savings to last you a long time. Because even if you have enough savings to last you a year and you spend through those savings, you may not be in a position a year later to then start paying yourself a healthy wage from that business, because you need to reinvest everything that you make into that business in the early days. It's not about making profit. It's about making money and reinvesting it back into that business to grow it. And so that sort of like financial stress is got to be something that you're willing to go through. And yeah, that was the biggest reality check for me, that it's relentless and it's not slowing down anytime soon. And then the other biggest reality check as well is more from like a personal point of view, like how my working relationship intersects with my sort of personal life. And I realized I'm fucking selfish. And I kind of have to be for those reasons that I just mentioned. But I forgot one of my best friend's birthdays 2 years in a row. I forgot my mum's birthday. I had to break up with my boyfriend because I could not give him the time that he deserved. And one of the things that he said to me was, I'm resentful of your work because you love your work more than I think you'll ever love me. And it's true. And, you know, I just realized that I have I think this fear of failure is so big in me that it impacts my wider life. It impacts my social life. It impacts my relationships because I will not stop until I've created my vision and I've helped as many people as possible. But in that process, I'm not helping myself. I'm not, well, I am helping myself in some ways, but I'm not helping myself in other ways. And I think that I have to get better at, you know, making time to connect with my friends, with my family, not just work from when I wake up at 6 a.m. till I go to bed at 10 p.m. And when I say work, I don't just mean sitting on my laptop, I mean thinking work. Because the reason why I'm forgetting people's birthdays and I'm not texting people back and I'm forgetting to reach out to that person that I haven't seen in a while and XYZ, it's because any time that I do have when I'm not working, I'm still thinking about work. I'm not thinking about anybody else. That's what I mean by I'm selfish. I'm not thinking about anybody except myself. And that was a big reality check as well. Like when friends text you disappointed, that's not cute. It's not cute. And so, yeah, I need to make more effort there. I'm going to throw my hands up and say that. How GAYNS exposed me for better or worse. I guess sort of like piggybacking off what I just said there. What it exposed about me is that I will not be happy until I can prove to myself that I can do it. I have there is something in me, like a missing piece to the puzzle that I need to prove to myself that I can put that last piece in. And I don't want this to sound like I am, creating GAYNS for the wrong reasons. That's not what it is at all. I am creating GAYNS to help people. But my ulterior motive is to get fulfillment from doing that. And I feel like I can achieve that. And I feel like I've got so much more to give as a person. And I feel like I can get to a place where I execute my vision, but I also make time for my friends and my family. And I also feel happy, and content. Like I do believe I can get there. And it's almost like I'm trying to fucking prove to myself that I will be able to do it all. And it really exposed for me this, I don't know how to describe it. It exposed for me that I'm unhinged in how much this means to me. Obsessive. And is that healthy? I don't know. Do I just love what I do and believe in it so much? Or is it something way deeper and sinister that I need to sort of like unpack? Jury's out. Any therapists listening, give me a DM. But I observe myself as I think and as I work and as I do and as I execute and everything. And I don't think I'm normal up here. Don't think I'm normal. Don't think it's healthy. And I think that came into focus this year. And maybe, look, maybe again, it's that fear of failure. And maybe it's just a very natural reaction to wanting something to work after something failed that you spent 4 years putting your time and money and energy into before. I don't know. But, you know, it's, does it scare me? Does it scare me? It doesn't scare me. It worries me. It worries me that I will never reach that destination that I feel like I'm trying to achieve. But on a sort of a positive note, what it did expose about me is that I have skills and interests and capabilities that I didn't know I had. And I think that is why it's so important for anybody to have something, a little passion project on the side of their work. Because every single one of you listening to this podcast will have a curiosity, will have an interest, a what if, a a scenario that you maybe dream about or something like that. And you wonder whether you're capable. And it is so rewarding to pull off an event or create something or complete a task that you had no idea that you were capable of doing. And I think for me, what the positive thing is that it's exposed about me is that I'm resourceful and I can not know how to do something and I can go, how am I going to make this work? And just pull it out of my asshole and make it work. And I bet there's so many people out there that have these skills and these little traits that, we just don't get to put into practice that often. And that's been like a real, I'm proud of myself for that. And so that segues nicely into my self-review as a founder. Now, what I did for this is I thought I was going to rate myself out of 10. So I created a list of different traits that I think a founder should have and how I rate myself out of 10 on those traits. So, number 1, big picture thinking. Can I see where this is going long term and make strategic decisions to get there? Big picture thinking, yes, I think high. I'm never going to give myself a 10. But I could give myself a high rate. I'm going to go for like an 8 or a 9 because I think that sometimes it's almost a bad thing because I think so big and I try to do everything at once. So big picture thinking, yes, I can see where this can be in 10 years' time. So I'm going to give myself a high one for that. I'm going to go for 8. 2, people and community building. How well have I built a loyal audience and engaged community? I'm going to go high on that one. I'm going to go for like a 7 because I think that I could do more and it could be better. But it's been great and it's been fast. So 7 on that one. 3, delegation. Am I good at letting go and trusting others to help? 1. Literally, even this social media guy that I brought on to help me, I still help him do half of the work as well because I can't let go. I need to learn to let go. He's great as well. He's great. He's amazing. 4, emotional resilience. Can I handle stress, setbacks, and criticism without spiraling? Yes. I think emotional resilience is strong, but I do get anxiety and I get stressed out. It's not all water off a duck's back, so I'm going to go for 7. 5, work ethic and discipline. Do I consistently show up and do the work even when it's hard? I'm going to give myself a 6. I think that because I work for myself, I think that I can very easily kind of go, today's not my day to work. My head's not in the game. I don't feel focused. I'm going to do the bare minimum. And that's just not how it works. I tell my clients, if you want to get results, you need to go to the gym and you need to eat that food, even when you don't want to do it, that's when it's most important, because you can't always only work hard when you feel motivated, because you're not going to get anywhere, because we never always feel motivated. If you want to consistently build, get results over and over time, you got to chip away at it even when you don't want to. So I need to get better at that. So that's a 6. Branding and storytelling. How well do I communicate the brand's mission in an engaging way? Oh, God. Well, I guess that is up for you to decide. What would you give me out of 10? I'd give myself a 6 for that one as well, because I feel like I create, pieces of content like this and other sort of like pieces of, content on my Instagram to try and translate the journey. Could I be better at that? Yes. Have I just filmed my first vlog for YouTube? Yes. Content creation and marketing. Am I producing high quality, impactful content that resonates? I think I could be better. I'm going to go for 6 at that as well, because even though I've done quite well on the social media, it's very samey, and I could be a bit more innovative, to be honest. So I'm going to give myself a 6. Keep giving myself 6s. Problem solving. How good am I at finding solutions rather than getting stuck in the problems? Okay, this one I'm going to give myself a 5, because I will get there in the end, but it's not fast. And I will ruminate for a long time, and I'll ask everybody their opinion. And, I will leave a problem running for a long time before I solve it. So I'm going to give myself a 5 for that one. Money management. Am I making smart financial decisions for the business? Jury's out on that one, because I never had to manage the money for my previous business. So this is all new to me, like doing all of this. I do like to pay people on time, and I do like to pay people what they're worth. And so I could be, more of a hustler in that sense, and trying to haggle people down and like prolong payments and all that kind of stuff. But I don't. So that's, sometimes put the business in a precarious position. Sometimes I don't prioritize, and I go, do I need this month? Or, have we got enough photographs already, or whatever? Do you know what I mean? And so I would like to spend money on keeping everything looking fantastic, even if it's not the most smart decision. So I definitely need to get better at money management. Pricing and monetization. I mean, Run Club's free, always be free. But I do think that I get too scared to ask people for money. And I think that therefore I have put a lot of effort into events that haven't made money, or have, made nothing. And that's, at the end of the day, it's great for them. It's not great for the business in general, because I need to grow it so that I can put on even bigger and even better events and create even more value for them. So I'm going to give myself a 3. Self-reflection and growth. Okay, do I learn from my mistakes and actively work on improving? I think that I'm quite self-reflective, and I'm constantly iterating and trying to find things that I can improve on. So I'm going to give myself an 8 for that. Boundaries and work-life balance. Am I managing my energy well? Am I burning out? I'm going to give myself a 2 or 3, because I do watch an hour of TV in the evening, and I do read half an hour before bed. So that's not working. So I'm going to give myself a 3. And finally, confidence and self-belief. Do I genuinely believe in myself and my ability to make this work? I'm going to give myself a 9 for this. The only reason I haven't given myself a 10 is because I do feel like I would need a CEO or something like that at some point. Once it starts growing and GAYNS is in different cities and all that kind of stuff, I would need somebody who is more strategic than me, because my strategy skills. Somebody said to me the other day, so how, what's your strategy for YouTube or for social media? I was like, I don't have one. I literally just post when I feel like posting, what I feel like posting. And so I think that I constantly feel like I'm working, just looking forward to the week ahead, or the month ahead. I should be thinking 6 months ahead, a year ahead, all of these things, but I don't have that sort of like strategic mind that like somebody else would have, that's sort of maybe less creative and more sort of structured. And so that's where I feel like I lose that 1 point. But confidence and self-belief, a lot of it, I just don't believe that I will have certain skills to take this all the way, and that somebody else will have to come in at some point and help me do that. So, hardest moment of the year. So, there's been no point that I've wanted to quit. But there was a time last year, I've spoken about my recovery journey on here before, where things got a bit rocky with addiction, and I felt like a fucking fraud. I felt like I created this brand for the purposes of, you know, helping me and other people, helping me in my recovery, helping other people who wanted to sort of like go away from this sort of like party lifestyle or have another option at least. And there I was throwing myself back in the thick of it just to punish myself. And so, you know, what the repercussions of that was, rocky work ethic, you know, not waking up when my alarm goes off, poor mental health, not having the energy to be able to do what I needed to do. It really slowed things down at times and caused me more stress further down the line because I then had much less time to execute an event or an idea because, I get really low in confidence when I relapse. Um, it takes me a long time to sort of get over that anxiety and get back up on my feet again. And that's sort of been the toughest moment. And that was around the time that broke up with my boyfriend. And that was also the kind of time when GAYNS then started to go, get even more successful. And so it was like a really exciting, but also equally tough time because I was going through sort of a rough mental patch. And as I said, felt like a fraud. And was trying, something that I've always had to do from all my years of teaching is when you step into that studio, people are paying to see Connor Mini teach this excellent class that they've come to know and love, okay? So when you step into that room, you've got to give them that. Even if you just heard the worst fucking news in the world, even if you've got, depression or anything, even if you just relapsed in in the worst place you've ever been and feel like crying, you step into that room, you've got to be Connor Mini and you've got to be switched on. And so I was still turning up to these runs and these events and schmoozing and being Connor and stuff like that whilst inside dying, and that's why I've like really snapped out of it, and I feel amazing now because I can't risk, not giving 100% to this business. So that was a tough time. The most unexpected win. Now, I wasn't sure whether to say this because nothing's set in stone yet, nothing's signed. But by the time this episode comes out, maybe it will be. So I don't want to jinx it. Oh, I'm scared. But a brand has offered to sponsor GAYNS for the year. Which is amazing because, as you know, as I've discussed on the rest of the podcast, it's been a financial struggle because events cost a lot to put on and you don't make a lot of money on events. And you've got to pay people. And so it's been hard to really grow GAYNS in the way that I wanted to, or the way that I would like to by having sort of more people help me because of that. And so having a brand sponsor GAYNS would be huge because it would just mean that we're fine. We're okay, guys. It means that I can bring this person on to help me with events. It means we can put on more events. It means that we can, scale these events and to reach more people and, grow to other cities and stuff like that. And so it's a really, really, really exciting thing because it's basically like an investment in a way because this brand is investing in your future because they believe that you are building something amazing. And, as I said, I don't want to jinx this. It's not over the line yet, but it's been offered. And so that has been a huge win because that wasn't even on my radar until I got to Filth last year, which was in November. Did I go, oh God, this is actually going to be really expensive to put on. I'm not going to be able to charge people a fair amount on the ticket price if they've got to cover the whole cost of the venue and the cost of the event. So that's when I sort of like first went out for sponsorship and got some for Filth. And that's when sort of people started saying to me, Connor, like brands should be paying for everything that you do because they want to get in front of these people, and they should be supporting communities, especially minority communities that are doing good things. And that was the first time I kind of thought, oh wait, yeah, I don't have to solely rely on sort of like making gains making money from the people that come. It can be from brands that want to support the community and give back themselves. And so that was a bit of a aha light bulb moment, because that's not how my previous business worked. I didn't have experience in that. So I put together a sponsorship deck. I wrote out all the different events that we were planning to do this year, all the data from the events that we'd already done and the demographic stuff, and what GAYNS was, a little bit about me. I used all the nice imagery that my photographer's given me, and I created this really fancy deck in Canva. If you don't know how to use Canva, get to know, because you can do so much with Canva. It's like an incredible tool, and people always go, oh my God, that looks so nice. Did you create that yourself? I'm like, yeah. So it's a good skill. Get to know Canva. Anyway, not me plugging them. They should be sponsoring me. Come on, Canva, cough up. I created it and I sent it out, and it worked. So we'll see. Again, don't want to jinx it. I may be hanging my head in shame on the next time I come on this podcast going, guys, I jinxed it. But yeah, that's been a really nice unexpected win, because I just did not think that was something that was available. Had no experience in it, and yeah, pulled a sponsorship deck out my ass and got it, baby. Right, so to finish, what is next, and what would I tell myself a year ago? So what's next for GAYNS? The mission and the vision is always to improve gay people's health, fitness, and connection to the community. And I want to do that on a global scale eventually. I think we sometimes forget that there are gay people and queer people that don't live in London, in Manchester, in New York, in LA, in Amsterdam, in Berlin. They live in the fucking countryside. They live in small towns. They maybe can't leave. They don't know how to leave. They don't have the same connection that we have to the amount of gay people that we see on a regular basis. And so what about them? I often think about them, and how the media that I could create to help them feel a connection to the community as well. You guys know I've spoken about this before. Media is something that I love and that I want to work in. I want there to be an entire media production arm of GAYNS. I really want to work on the YouTube. I really want to work on the sort of like the newsletter, the new Hot and Bothered newsletter. If you didn't see it, tut, subscribe, www.gayns.co. Get that next month. How can I help people feel a part of this community and a part of a community, an alternative one, without them having to live in a close vicinity to a run club or one of our events? And so that is really, really important for me, the event side of things and expanding this to other cities, because I get so many DMs you wouldn't believe from people asking me to bring it to their city. And I'm like, that's amazing that there is demand for it in other cities, and amazing to me that it doesn't already exist in other cities. So like that, and creating the sort of I call it the brand universe, like everything that is under the GAYNS umbrella, the merch, the newsletter, the media, the social media, the YouTube, and the events themselves, and how we can create really exciting, unique events that make people go, yeah, I'm going to go to Mighty Hoopla, but I'm also going to go to that as well, because, it is seeing shitloads of fucking gay people, but it's, again, it's not revolving around a party, which is fine. I'm not against partying. I still go partying. I'll still be at Hoopla this year. I'm just saying it'd be nice to have like other large scale events like that weren't necessarily just dancing to music with alcohol. So that's what is in store for GAYNS, building that brand universe. And what I would tell myself a year ago, I put here, focus on your strengths. There was so much time that I wasted um, having tension around what gains should be, because I told you, obviously, somebody said run clubs aren't going to last forever. They're a trend, and so I was like, oh my God, what if people get bored of my run club? So I spent so much time like worrying about, you know, whether gains had longevity, where I should go with it, what was wanted, what was needed, that I should have just focused on my strengths, which is bringing people together and making good content, you know? And when I focused on just more ways of bringing people together, Gaines very naturally just started moving into becoming an events company, which is crazy to me. If somebody said to me like last January, you know, Gaines is going to be an events company, I would have gone, eh? How'd you work that one out? But that's essentially what it's become. It's an events company. And I just realized actually that's always been my strength, bringing people together and putting on a good show. And I wish that I had just kind of lent into that a little bit more a bit early on, instead of kind of exploring all these different other avenues that I didn't have a passion for. Um, take it at your own pace. Again, like I have been just going at it relentlessly. Um, and at times I've slowed down, and at times I've told myself, God, it's okay. It's okay not to put on some big event next month. It can just be a normal month. It can just be 4 run clubs, rush and fold on the weekend. It doesn't. I don't have to pull some fucking so hard to execute, so expensive to put on event every single fucking month. Because I think that, somebody's going to come nipping at my heels. Somebody in New York's going to set it up and, um, start it over there before me or whatever. So I've been sort of like kind of at competition with myself in a way. And I really sort of had to um, slow certain things down that I wanted to launch, because I was like, it's too soon. It's too soon. You're trying to you can't you like one thing I learned from my previous business, Grindhouse, is that you should not grow faster than you as a founder are able to grow with the business, because that's when the cracks start to show and you don't truly know your business, your audience, or what you're expanding into, they're not ready for it yet, or it's not wanted. So I'm much more now about slow progress, which it may not look slow to you guys, but it's steady. And I'm not trying to do too much at once now. So that's what I tell myself a year ago, don't try and do too much at once. And it isn't going to be for everyone, and that's okay. Like, Gains is and will never be for everyone. I even had tension around using the word gay instead of queer. And I look at every single comment that gets commented on some of the Gains content, and I think about all the people that haven't come to Gains, all the 1.5 million people that make that sorry, on the Gains Instagram, it says there's 1.5 million impressions on the Gains Instagram in a month. All those people that come to the Instagram and decide not to follow. And, I think about that a lot. And like, again, like it's probably like this deep rooted, like, fear of not being liked thing in me, and that existing for the Gains, the brand, as well. But you're never going to be liked by everyone. You can't be liked by everyone. And if you're creating something for everyone, you're creating something for no one. And that was the problem with Grindhouse. Like, we created something where we could never identify who our demographic and who our target audience was. And that was always the problem, because if you're marketing to everyone, you're marketing to absolutely no one. And, I think that by me kind of going, this is who Gains is for, and I'm going to speak to them in the tone of voice that I use, in the content that I put out there, the branding that I use, the very specific language that I'm speaking to a specific person. And if not everybody wants to get involved with GAYNS because they think it's trashy, because they think it's, too much of this or too much of that, or is moving away from being, the space that they want it to be, that's fine. At the end of the day, GAYNS is not puritanical. GAYNS is I've made an episode on this before. Well-being gives me the fucking ick. The wellness industry is so wishy-washy, and I hate the language that's used. All the branding's the same. I just don't identify with it, and I wanted to, make a brand that is a bit cheeky and fun in the wellness space, which is why I had the pictures of my cap, the campaign pictures for the new cap, over a dick with somebody holding it, looking like they're having someone give them head, with the words "give good head" in my GAYNS caps. Because someone said to me, "Oh, why don't you get some shots of people running in them?" I was like, ew. Like, anybody that's got a fucking cap for their running brand has fucking somebody got pictures running in the cap. I was like, that's not what I want. It's so basic. And so if you don't like this picture of somebody with a cap over their penis saying "give good head," maybe GAYNS ain't for you, honey. But I wanted to create something that didn't feel like the rest of the fucking wellness industry. And not everyone's going to like it, and that's okay. So that was my 50-minute long, Jesus, sorry to chew your ear off for 50-minute, guys. That was my 50-minute long breakdown of the last year of GAYNS, because it's the GAYNS birthday today. I realized that episode was all about me. I may not be that helpful for you, but I think, I was like, I want to listen to this back in the future at some point and be like, God, how was I thinking then? What had I achieved then? I just really want to document this journey, A, to help other people, and B, I think it's an interesting story, right? And I just want there to be something to look back on, and these sort of milestones, and yeah, I'm waffling now. Anyway, thank you so much for this episode that I pulled out of my arse last night in bed. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do listen to this podcast, I'm very grateful to you. Anybody that comes to GAYNS, listens to the podcast, subscribes to the newsletter, follows on Instagram, I'm just so grateful to you all for your support. And I love you.